Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston Station, this is Luca. I am ready for the event.
ESA, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is the European Space Agency. How do you hear us?
Good afternoon, Europe. I read you loud and clear.
Over to the President. Go ahead, Luca.
Sì.
Yes.
Signor Presidente,
Mr. President,
buongiorno.
hello.
Sono il colonnello Luca Parmitano.
I am Colonel Luca Parmitano,
della spedizione
the commander of the 61 mission, and I'm honored and very pleased to welcome you aboard the International Space Station here in the Columbus Laboratory. The contribution by Europe to the International Space Program, which we will remember was built by with the assistance of Italian participation, and welcome aboard, Mr. President. I thank you very much, Colonel. It's a very emotional, feel that with a great deal of emotions I feel to be aboard. I thank you for your confidence and experience. I can tell you, Mr. President, that the emotion is always different. I don't believe there can exist any repetition of the emotions experienced the first time, but it's something that continues. I didn't know exactly what to expect the first time when I left. There was the emotion associated with a dream being realized, and I didn't know what to expect the second time. The second time, there was a lot more knowledge, but at the same time, the great expectation, anticipation of sharing a new experience with new people, and with those who are who have a wish to follow my track through Spain, through space, those from Italy and Europe, that is. I continue to have splendid positive emotions every time that I come up into space. I thank you. As commander at this time of the space station, which is a great responsibility, but also professionally a very gratifying situation for you. You were involved directly in the experimentation that is being conducted, and to what is your degree of involvement? Mr. President, I will tell you that command is a work that does not exist. I believe that it is the only part of this job in which every day you learn something new, and I don't think you can ever arrive at being fully knowledgeable and immersed in your own role. The commander of the space station is a particular role because my team consists of men and women coming from every part of the world. I'm not here to command them, but to be at their service and to help maintain an excellent atmosphere aboard. I and they are absolutely involved every day, and with everybody in the United States and also on land from other participating countries. We are all involved in conducting these experiments right here to my side. There are plants that are growing, and we have a system to produce three-dimensional instruments and organic developments as well, through experiments in physiology, exploring the limits of the capability of humanity now and in the future, and also the participation that we engage in with what's going on Earth, also relating to Alzheimer and other conditions, cancerogenous factors as well we address through our work here. The opportunities here in space are really extraordinary. I thank you. So I'm really feeling very strong positive emotion in speaking with you. And all of the experiments that all of you are engaging in are a very important contribution to the health of all of humanity. It's very important work because this experimentation is something that produces important data. Within the ambit of my mission, we will participate in 300 experiments, some of which are conducted automatically, in which we simply have to install and dismantle various equipment. But in others, 50 of these experiments, which are European, we are personally involved in manipulating and handling, some of which are absolutely Italian, with the participation of the Italian Space Agency, some of which are very important, which have led to the production of millions of photographs, literally, experimental aspects that have to do with the perception of temporal space, which will help us understand how to help those who have sensory deficiencies on Earth. It's impossible, of course, in a few minutes to describe all of the experiments. It is truly extraordinary. For me, it's difficult to be able to fully understand what you're doing, but what I do understand is the great importance of what you're doing for all of humanity. You're also involved in extratemporal activities, which means work that really requires your full participation and your full involvement. I think not only is there an emotional aspect, but a very sort of a fatigue that is induced with all the work that has to be done. Well, your words, Mr. President, perfectly describe our work when we are out here. It has an emotional component because being on board the space station, and also when we engage in EVA, extravehicular activity, and also when we are immersed in the waters of the sea, to be able to observe the atmosphere that surrounds us. Also these divers-like gloves that we work with, which are pressurized, which means that every time that we make a movement, all of our movements are articulated and are against the force of pressure. And so every time I have to manipulate an object by moving my fingers, it's like squeezing a tennis ball. And this for an hour and a half's work and various hours before and after the EVA, which add up to about 10 hours within the space vehicle. This is an extreme marathon that is required of us. And of course, it burns off calories. It's very emotionally fulfilling and important to do all of this. In November, we're going to also be pursue other extremely important experiments here on board. The extra physical work. The spectrometer, for example, is going to be searching out those particles that are particularly difficult to detect, and we do it here in Spain. It gives us a chance to determine the origin of things, and we're able to either confirm or destroy so many theories. But our work on the EVA extravehicular work will enable us to be able to repair and to make sure that this craft can be used for the following years. This is extremely important and precious work that you're doing. And the ability to work around a very complex set of equipment means that your movements have to be carefully considered. They're not simple to make. It is not simple to make. And of course, this especially applies to extravehicular activity. It's something that has to be considered carefully in advance. I'm not the only one to mention it, but the work at the space station has confirmed that it will probably a series of the most difficult extravehicular activities because the instrument has not as yet been designed that can be repaired in space. And so my colleagues and I have had to learn to help to design a whole series of instruments in order to enable us to open up this spectrometer and to work within the system and to install a new cooling system on the basis, the pre-existing basis, something that has never been done before. We don't even know whether it's going to be possible to do so, and therefore we have trained ourselves and learned that we're still studying and training in how to be able to bring this about based on the extraordinary assistance from the various agencies, the ESA, the European Space Agency, and NASA, through which we'll attempt to conduct our assignment. The spectrometer has a very strong Italian input and participation. There's a president of the Italian Space Energy Agency, Mr. Battistone, whom you know very well, has been critical in this aspect, in this work. So it is a great honor to be able to be a part of this series of repairs. Thank you, Colonel. Thank you for all of the work that you're able to do. Every time doing something new, it's amazing, it's incredible, it's fascinating. I'd like to know about your experimentation. You spoke of plants before. Are these plants that will remain there, or will they be sent back to Earth for observation? Well, both, Mr. President. We've already had our first harvest to verify the organic characteristics of these plants. We've even eaten some to be able to have a direct experience, a human experience, with what will eventually be a part of our future activities. But part of the plants were sent to Earth to be able to compare them with those that were grown at the same time within the same series of experiments, and which are growing on Earth. The plants on board are growing under different conditions. We have two different types of which to see which are more effective in the development of plants under two different sets of circumstances on board here. You have no idea what it means to me personally and to all of our fellow citizens to be able to see the amazing work that you're doing out there in space, and so which again is based on a major participation by Italy, including the work done on Earth of a Scientific Nation, which does great honor to our program and to yourself. And so I'd like to recognize the work that you're doing and to appreciate it publicly. Mr. President, I can guarantee you that a little bit to the contrary, I am very grateful to my country and to your willingness to participate in this very great adventure, which is perhaps the greatest adventure in human history. It is an adventure that, of course, is endless, as space is, and I'm very grateful to Italy to have demonstrated over the years, through the participation of the Italian Space Agency and the European Space Agency, to be able to provide a strong impulse toward space work. I'm very grateful again to my country that has trained me in experimentation methods and has encouraged me to push myself beyond my human limits and also the Italian academic system, which has helped me to grow in an environment in which my knowledge and my abilities have been stimulated, and it has enabled me to leave, to return, to recommence my work here. And I'm thrilled to work under the flag of our country, which urges me and pushes me every day to engage in my services to the team, as well as my own part of the scientific work. I hope one day that our work will also be able to serve humanity in general. Colonel, this is the point of arrival for extremely important work, which also entails certain sacrifices on your part. And as other colleagues of yours have indicated, this is a point of reference, a starting point, and a model for work to be done in the future as well. Mr. President, once I had the opportunity and the honor to be able to speak with you briefly. It was on the occasion of a visit to Houston. There were so many people who wanted to have pictures taken with you, and I asked you how. I admired your patience, and you told me that it was important to participate because through you, people showed their affection and love for Italy, and I can respond in the same manner. Repeating your own phrases and words. I think the youth especially look to us not so much for what we are, Luca Parmitano and another gentleman whom I'm very happy to greet, but the message having to do with human evolution, science, exploration, and hope, expanding the possibilities of the human race. There's nothing more beautiful than the ability to realize our humanity's possibilities and potential. And I want to, of course, remain completely humble. I understand that there's not so much the greatest merit in what I represent, but there's a great desire to do what I'm doing, so much goodwill to do well. And perhaps this is the message that people will take, especially from the youth, who are always my interlocutors. Mr. President, I must say, in the future, of course, is in the hands of the youngest among us. I thank you. I would like to pass the word to the message that you send, however, is very important, because from the International Space Station, which involves so many nations, which is a message of collaboration and peace, which makes us think of when the small, the young people. I thank you very much. It makes young people, of course, understand and inspire them to be participating. I thank you, Mr. President, another interlocutor. Luca, I feel a strong emotion to be able to speak with you up there. It's a very strong emotion that I feel. One of friendship and affection, which links us as friends and colleagues, and especially as officers in the Italian space program. 10 years ago, we participated in a long process which was strenuous and stringent, which enabled us to become colleagues in the Italian and European space program. I followed your adventures, and we've been able to exchange advice before you went up there, and so that makes it even more gratifying to see you up there and to be able to speak with you concerning the responsibility and the honor of being the first Italian commander of the ESA station. And of course, all of this, again, reflecting the aspirations of humanity. I wish you the very best for all of the work that you're doing and all the commitments that you've engaged in for this extremely important work in conjunction with NASA and ESA. So this is, I'd like to send you a great, a warm embrace, a warm hug, and break a leg, so to speak, for good luck. I'm happy to greet you as a colleague as well as a friend. I feel a very strong emotion in hearing your voice. So returning to the President's words, my colleague De Morgan always says that maybe the greatest advantage of the International Space Station is the promotion of international collaboration so that altogether we can engage in and succeed in a very great enterprise together. It's a beautiful thing to be here as Italians and knowing that there exists an Italian work which is very strong, very great, very substantial, that continues. The Columbus was built with many of instructions in Italy. To my left, there's the Sinus, which we captured yesterday, the Sinus, and it was developed in Italy from this space station. I'm speaking as an Italian spaceman to an Italian space lady. And so, again, I return to you your wishes for the very best of luck, excellent results here from out here in space, and in the future, I certainly, as a commander, it will be my responsibility to leave this spacecraft in the very best of conditions, and I hope that you very soon will be able to come up and fly into the same space. And I know that you make a very great contribution to this international program.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes our event as we count down to 20 continuous years of humans living and working on the International Space Station.
Thank you to all the participants from ESA. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communications.